Hello everybody, welcome back to Triple I TV, and it looks like Marvel Studios is about to begin working on a new X-Men movie. And no, we are not talking about the original old X-Men from the Fox universe. Yes, Marvel Studios has a plan for them. They are coming back, but we are indeed today talking about a new X-Men team. New mutants in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and a new movie which comes as a surprise. We will explain why it comes as a surprise and why it might actually reveal something about the end of Secret Wars, which I already know is going to be pretty controversial for some people because we have briefly talked about this before. But either way, the mutants, the X-Men team, is heading to the MCU. This is what fans have been waiting for ever since we found out that Disney acquired the Fox. Well, really since before that, since the inception of the MCU, since the inception of a connected universe, fans have wanted to see the Avengers with the X-Men and Fantastic Four. And now, it's all finally happening and it's all possible and it's all right around the corner. So this report is coming from the Deadline. Obviously, a very major, huge outlet that is extremely trustworthy. Marvel gives them exclusive all the time, and today they have reported that an X-Men movie is in works at Marvel Studios. Their headline for their job report today states, Marvel Studios execs in meeting soon to hear writers pitch for the coveted X-Men job. The article starts off by stating, with a deal in place with the Writers Guild, studios have begun talking aim at setting writers for their open assignments. Marvel Studios is looking to set the bar with what they will likely become one of the more sought-after jobs for any scribe. Sources tell that Marvel will start setting writers' meeting later this fall for pitches on an anticipated X-Men movie. Insiders add, there is no rush to fill the job since the film hasn't been dated yet, and it's more likely that writer decision will be made at the top of the 2024. So, there's a lot more of that the article states that we are going to talk about, including Kevin Feige overseeing everything, which of course is an amazing thing. But let's first take a step back and talk about the first part that states it's going to be an X-Men movie. Now, originally a lot of people, including myself, thought that maybe since we have been hearing about this soft reboot after Avengers Secret Wars, maybe we were going to get individual X-Men movies. And they were going to build up like the Avengers until they eventually formed the X-Men team. And that's when we got our first X-Men movie. But according to this article from the Deadline, according to the information they have acquired from the sources, Marvel Studios is already setting meeting with writers for an official X-Men movie. So it looks like they are going to be diving right into it. However, this might actually be for a movie before Secret Wars, which is something that I don't think a lot of people would have expected. I think most of us thought that the actual X-Men were going to be coming after Phase 6, after Secret Wars. Until then, leading up to Secret Wars, we were going to be dealing with the original X-Men. Hugh Jackman's Wolverine is returning. We have Deadpool bringing a lot of other original X-Men. However, it could be the case that Kevin Feige has plans to kind of mix the two X-Men off together. We know Kevin Feige wants an official and really good goodbye for the original X-Men from the Fox universe because he started his career back with the first X-Men movie in 2000. But I'm sure we are not going to complain about getting an X-Men movie with the new X-Men. The only question is how exactly is going to be done. Well, there's a lot of ways they can do this, but I think really it comes down to the main two options. One is they do a movie somewhere in Phase 6 where they introduce a new X-Men team. It's set in the main MCU universe and then they go to have a decent role in Avengers Secret Wars, and that team continues on after Phase 6 of the MCU. We go into Phase 7 and the X-Men team is established. Perhaps Marvel Studios wants to do this so they do have an established team rolling into Phase 7, since the focus of the Phase 7 and the beyond is most likely going to be on the mutants. The Fantastic Four and the Avengers might take a sideline for a little bit. It would make sense to have already something established going into a new phase and a new saga. The only question here is what about the soft reboot? How exactly is this new X-Men team going to survive a soft reboot unless they decide not to do that? If that film is going to be set in another universe, how exactly are the Fantastic Four going to remain in our universe if the MCU is not rebooted? Which leaves us to another option. The X-Men movie could also take place in another universe, and if the soft reboot is going to happen and the Fantastic Four film is taking place in another universe, then this option is probably the most likely. This new X-Men movie and the new X-Men team that is going to come before the events of Secret Wars could take place in another universe. And when the incursions start happening, they can make their way over to our main universe along with a lot of other worlds and characters. And right away, what do you think about this? Would you like this? Would you like our X-Men to be from another universe? Well, Marvel Studios has made it pretty clear that mutant gene and mutant do exist in the MCU. They made that clear with the Miss Marvel and the Namor. Some people don't like the idea of X-Men being from another universe and fusing with our universe, because that would mean you would have to bring a ton of mutants, basically an entire population. However, we don't necessarily have to do that because it has been set up for the mutant gene to exist in our universe. We could simply be behind. Mutants could not have come to the surface yet, or the X-Men mutant gene hasn't been really activated yet in somebody because it wasn't necessarily fully evolved yet. Basically, there are ways to do it. Just because the movie is going to take place in another universe doesn't mean that mutants don't exist in our universe. But let me know your thoughts. What do you think about this new X-Men movie? Be sure to like the video and subscribe our channel for the latest MCU news and superhero stuff.